In this video, we'll be solving three classic angular momentum problems. Problem 1. A student stands on a rotating platform holding two masses, one in each hand with arms extended. The student is initially rotating with angular velocity omega 1. The student then pulls the masses inward toward their body. Find the final angular velocity omega 2 in terms of the initial moment of inertia I1 and final moment of inertia I2. Whenever you're working with a rotational motion problem and there are no external net torques, we can apply the conservation of angular momentum, which states that the total initial angular momentum is equal to the total final angular momentum. The equation for angular momentum of a rigid body is the moment of inertia times the angular velocity. So we can rewrite this as I1 omega 1 is equal to I2 times omega 2. We're going to next divide I2 on both sides to isolate omega 2. So omega 2 is equal to I1 divided by I2 multiplied by omega 1. As the student moves their arms in, their moment of inertia is going to decrease because the moment of inertia has to do with not only the mass, but also the distribution of the mass. Where is that mass located? The closer that the mass is to the axis of rotation, the lower the moment of inertia. So I1 is greater than I2. I1 is greater because initially the arms are out, the mass are farther away, and then in I2, the arms are closer, which decreases the moment of inertia. So we can say that I1 is greater than I2. And because I1 is greater than I2, omega 2 is going to be greater than omega 1. Problem 2. A uniform rod of mass m and length L is pivoted at one end and hangs vertically at rest. A small clay ball of mass m, moving horizontally with velocity v, strikes the rod at its free end and sticks to it. Find the angular velocity omega of the rod-ball system immediately after the collision. In this rotation problem, we're going to once again ask the question, is there an external net torque acting on our system? Because how we answer that question will determine whether or not we can use the conservation of angular momentum. Now, there is a gravity force pulling down on this rod. However, the line of action of this gravity force goes through the axis of rotation, and therefore the gravity force will not be exerting a torque on our system. The pivot will also be exerting a force on the rod. However, the pivot force is acting at the axis of rotation, and therefore it will also not be exerting a torque on our system. The ball will exert a force on the rod as it collides with the rod. However, the rod will also exert a force, an equal and opposite force on the clay ball, and those forces are internal forces and will cancel out. And the torque that is caused by those forces will also cancel out. There is also a gravity force pulling down on the clay ball. However, we're only analyzing the time interval of the clay ball hitting the rod, which is a very small amount of time. And therefore, the angular impulse will be very, very small, and the change in angular momentum of the gravitational force on the clay ball during that time will be very, very small. So it will be negligible. Since there is no external net torque, we can state that L1 equals L2, which means that the total initial angular momentum is equal to the total final angular momentum. The equation for angular momentum of a point mass is mvr sine theta, and the equation for the angular momentum of a rigid body is I omega. I is the moment of inertia, omega is the angular velocity. Theta is the angle between the velocity vector and the position vector r, and you'll notice that that forms a 90-degree angle. And sine 90 degrees is 1, and so we're going to substitute sine 90 degrees with 1. Next, we're going to substitute our length L for r, because at length L, that is where the clay ball collides with the rod. So on the left, we have mv big L. On the right-hand side, we're going to substitute our given variables for the moment of inertia. The moment of inertia for the clay ball is m big L squared, and the moment of inertia for the rod is 1/3 big M times big L squared. And so that gives us mv times big L is equal to m times big L squared plus 1 over 3 big M times big L squared times omega. We're going to divide L on both sides, and that gives us mv is equal to m times big L plus 1 over 3 times big M times big L times omega. Factoring out big L on the right-hand side, we get mv is equal to big L times little m plus 1 over 3 times big M times omega. Dividing big L times little m plus 1 over 3 times big M on both sides, we get that omega is equal to mv divided by big L times little m plus 1 over 3 times big M. Problem 3. A disk of mass m and radius r rotates freely about a vertical axis through its center with angular velocity omega 1. A small object of mass m is dropped vertically onto the disk and lands at a distance r from the center, where it sticks. Find the final angular velocity omega 2 of the disk object system. In this rotation problem, we're going to once again ask the question, is there an external net torque? Because how we answer that question will determine whether or not angular momentum is conserved. Here we have a small mass that is dropped on a rotating disk, and the mass will be exerting a force on this disk. However, the line of action of that force is parallel to the axis of rotation, and therefore that force will not exert a torque on our system. We also have this axle. It's a support force to hold up this rotating disk, and that force will also not exert a torque because that force is acting at the axis of rotation. Since there's no external net torque, we can state once again that the total initial angular momentum is equal to the total final angular momentum. The equation for angular momentum for a rigid body is I omega. I is the moment of inertia, omega is the angular velocity, so we can rewrite this as I1 omega 1 is equal to I2 omega 2. Next, we're going to substitute the given variables for our moment of inertia, remembering that the moment of inertia for disk is 1 over 2 mr squared, and the moment of inertia for a point mass is mr squared, and that gives us 1 over 2 big M big R squared omega 1 is equal to mr squared plus 1 over 2 big M times big R squared times omega 2. On the left is the initial situation where we just have the disk, and on the right-hand side is the situation afterwards where we have the small object mass m on the rotating disk. Dividing mr squared plus 1 over 2 big M times big R squared on both sides gives us big M times big R squared times omega 1 divided by 2 times mr squared plus 1 over 2 times big M times big R squared. And then distributing this 2 on the bottom, that gives us omega 2 is equal to big M times big R squared times omega 1 divided by 2mr squared plus big M times big R squared. If you found this video helpful, check out my next video where I solve 3 classic spring oscillation problems for AP Physics 1.